what did I learn when I was younger? I learned that food, that's what's going to make me feel better. So I ended up gaining all this weight. So of course, not only did I lose the baby, go through infertility, the doctor said you can't get pregnant. And people would say, wait on God, it's God's time. And then you're like, I don't have kids. This been 9 years. So I decided that I was going to focus on losing weight, but this time I was going to focus on learning how to be healthy. So I'm outside teaching my students, and I'm like, and my coach is like, girl, you ain't ate in 10 days, And I was like, isn't that crazy?
Hey, you're a physical education teacher too?
Yes. You go to the specialist. I probably spent 8 to 10 minutes in his office my first visit. He walked in. I had to do my blood work. He said, you have hyperthyroid. Take this medicine, and I'll see you in 4 weeks. Walked out the door.
No, here's what it is. No, this is how to remedy it. Like, that's crazy. Please continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the raw foods, the diet, tried the dry fasting. My mom tried dry fasting, same thing. And then the juice fast. And then here we are. This is probably one of the most difficult paths I've ever had to walk. Because you're talking going Christmas last year, when my mom cooks, that lady can cook, she cooks. And I had to take my own food because I was in Prom.
I already know. Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching A Healthy Alternative. Today we have a very special guest. I've been trying to get this young lady on for, I don't know, like a month, maybe more. But when I very first saw you posting, like when it really came to my site, I was just like, "Oh, that transformation's crazy." And then I saw you on other people's channel. I'm like, man, why don't she come on my show? So I am so excited to finally have Makita on. Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's so amazing to be on your channel because when I first started all this journey, I subscribed and I used to watch all your videos. So to actually be here is pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, listen, it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm just excited to showcase what you've accomplished. I don't know if you know this, but you make up the majority of my group, the AHA family. So having you come on and share about your story, and I guess we'll probably get into it a little bit later.
Okay.
I know that you are much, how should I say this? Your age is deceptive. I know that. So I
Thank you.
I'm just excited to get into your whole story. So let's go back. You know what? I want to start in childhood. I'm just curious to know what your childhood was like growing up. What was your environment like? Were you in sports? Just tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Okay. Single mom, did not have a father present most of my life. It was just kind of me and my mom. And the way my mom showed love is through food because she had to work a lot. And as a single mom, when you're just trying to get by, it was, I had to stay home by myself or stay with other family members. And the way she would make it up to me is just by bringing me food. So she would get the big 10 pack from Crystals. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh yeah, we know about yeah.
They used to get 10 of those for $5. So she would bring it home and she worked late. So I would be eating 11 o'clock at night. We're eating that. And I went through a lot of traumatic experiences growing up. I feel like I can write a book sometimes, but a lot of very traumatic childhood experiences growing up. So the way I've learned that I soothe myself is through eating. From a very early age, that is how I would emotionally take care of myself through food because food didn't leave me, food didn't disappoint me, food didn't hurt me. So growing up, that is how I took care of my mental health is through food. Um, then as I got older, high school, middle school, I gained a lot of weight ultimately because I was constantly always eating. Nobody really told me about eating healthy and that kind of thing. So the habits that my mom had, she just passed them right along to me.
Yeah.
So and she was a great cook. She loved cooking for the family. And so all of that got passed down. So as I got older, high school, college, young adulthood was always the little heavier child. Then you got in college, you were the heavier friend, and then young adulthood, you got to where okay, I learned about losing weight, but the only way I learned how to lose weight was I was taught that you restrict your calories, you exercise a lot, that's how you lose weight. So
Mm.
there the spiral began. Right in high school, I can remember being a junior in high school. I wanted to go to prom. I did not want to get a plus size dress. I wanted to be able to go into a store and get a regular size dress. So I decided to just cut back to like 1,000 calories. I literally remember only eating the little cans of SpaghettiOs. That's
Oh.
what I would eat. I would eat a couple of cans of those because it was just all I knew is just restrict your calories and exercise. Didn't matter what you ate, you just had to restrict your calories. That's all I
Mhm.
knew. That's what I did. Dropped the weight, was able to get into a nice prom dress, but did I overhaul my habits? No. So what happened? Prom was over, I started eating again. And that was my plight through most of my life. And up until I got married, and then I started to learn more about food and how it affects your body and that kind of thing. So that's kind of where I was.
Mm. You know, that right there, I love how you kinda described that overall picture because so we have get this incredible misinformation from our government. You know, I know that you grew up in that era with the food pyramid
Yep.
and like the commercials. You remember like the commercials were just so phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was all trying to get us to consume more, whether it was food or whether it was a magazine or whatever.
Yep.
A- And so I think that people that were young during that time, like it really messed with our minds, right? And how we
Absolutely.
kind of view the world.
Mhm.
And so my brother, as you may know, like he kind of like went on that diet roller coaster as well.
Yeah.
And he was trying everything, you
Yeah.
know, he was doing the calorie restriction. It's
Yep.
the same thing. And it's like it automatically puts you on that roller coaster
Yep.
because no one's teaching you, hey, have you ever looked at how you eat emotionally?
Yep.
You know, like, or the quality of the food that you're eating, you
Nope.
know?
And not around your family because your family they're just we're just all regurgitating the same habits.
Hmm.
So family members, family functions, your aunts, your uncles, your parents, nobody's that it's just the same habits. So you're doing all you know, basically.
Did you have in your family, did you have that crazy uncle that would talk about like how the government is trying to poison us and like, you know what I mean? Did you have one of
Oh,
those?
no. It
So
was eat. That's it. You get around your family, it's all about eating. You know, the fish fry, the barbecue, the soulful big huge dinners. If we had a family function, it was all about the food. Who cooked this? Who cooked that? What you bringing? That was what it was about. Everything revolved around food growing up, and
Mhm.
everybody, mostly in my family, was overweight because everything was all about food. So yeah, that so I didn't have any of that.
I mean, it's just one of them things where like you when you're younger, you think
Mhm.
about that crazy uncle and you're like, man, that's Uncle Ronnie. Da, da, da.
I understand
And
what
it's
you.
like, no, he's onto it.
Yes,
And
yes.
but like we shame that guy, right? Like we
Yep.
because he doesn't fit in.
Yep.
So and by the way, shout out to Crystals. We had White Castles
Yeah.
and and my grandfather would go and every day it was part of his daily routine to go and get White Castles and a dozen of donuts. He would get like
Yep.
these glazed donuts. And I did not eat them White Castle burgers because I was told early on they weren't real meat. They were like made
Mhm.
out of something soy or something.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm like, bro, I don't know what that is. That sounds weird. But
Time, yeah, we're gonna get those and add cheese and add yeah, it was add cheese, it was add bacon, whatever you can add on it. And what's interesting is now when you talk about the crazy uncle, I feel like I am that person in my family right now.
yeah, I'm definitely the crazy uncle. But I think I brought other people with me, so we've got a couple of them. So I'm curious to know, do
Mhm.
you remember how much weight did you end up losing the first time you used this kind of calorie restriction diet plan?
When I was in a junior and a senior in high school, long, long ago, it probably was probably a good 2025. It was dramatic enough for me to walk into prom and they'd be like, okay, I see you. That kind
Yeah.
of thing. That was that dramatic. But like I said, and literally that diet roller coaster lasted years, years to where
Mhm.
I'm pretty. I know that you were messing with your metabolism at that point because that's if I want to lose weight, that is what I knew. Let me just
Right.
cut back those calories and go work out, go walk, go run, go do something to that effect. So no, but yeah,
I think that it takes a certain type of mindset. So, and I'm sure you probably feel like this at this point, but like the obstacles and everything that we've gone through, these if you have the right perspective on it and you make the right action, then it really helps self-development like crazy because what does it take for a young girl to, I mean, I'm assuming you're doing it on your own, right? To have that level of commitment to actually lose 30 pounds, like you don't, it's very rare to see that.
yeah, yeah. And
So,
I wanted it that bad because back when I was younger, it was I had all the undesirables. I was bigger, and in where I'm from, the you were darker. You definitely had a double. It
mhm,
was always, if somebody were to pick on me, it was either you're fat or you're dark, one or
yeah.
the other.
Mhm,
So it was the desire to be accepted in some form or fashion instead of always knowing for sure you were the undesirable in all those components in your life. So growing up in high school, like I said, you were the heavier one out of the friends. So it was the desire to just feel, worthy, feel
yeah.
accepted. Because even within your family, if your cousin, you hung out with your cousins, you was gonna get it. They
I
ain't
just
hold
talked to you
back.
about this.
They ain't hold back. So
Yeah.
yeah, you were this. Oh, be quiet with yourself. With
Yeah.
so you was gonna get it either way.
Yeah.
So it was the desire and not having that father figure to tell that
Mhm,
little girl, you're absolutely beautiful. You're this. So you took that out. It
mhm.
was and your mom wasn't around because she had to do what she had to do. It was the desire for somebody to validate me,
Yeah.
somebody to make me feel like I was enough and worthy. So it was kind of like that. You want to try to figure out, well, maybe you lose weight and maybe you do this, that you'll actually be validated and feel worth it.
Mhm. There is something that you brought up that I wanna just touch on because I think it's unique to, well, your experience, but it's just something we've never really talked about, and it's kind of like colorism.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Now, f crazy thing about it is, as you probably know now, dark skin, you'd be like, "Ooh," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I might just be I might be, like, I just got dark skin, I don't know. Something about dark skin for me, but I feel like as you get older, like, all of that childhood stuff where
Yeah.
people kinda, like, shame you for it, it's
Mhm.
like it turns around, like, you got big lips, you got dark skin,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now all the guys love you because you got big
Yeah.
lips, you got dark skin, right?
Mhm.
So, what was that like? Did you have like a identity crisis or on top of the weight, how did you deal with like being dark skinned too?
Well, I guess I probably wouldn't coin it identity crisis just because you didn't well, wasn't really aware of that.
Okay.
But I definitely had a poor self-esteem. Definitely. Because like I said, it was the constant never feeling like you're good enough. In fact, it was like in high school, I dated a young man and I remember distinctly him saying, um, he said that if you're dark skinned, you got to be fine. You got to be
Mm,
real fine. If you're light skinned, you can look all right. And I never forgot that. As
mm,
old as I am in high school, I remember him saying that to me, that
mm,
you got to be real fine or whatever. And even just the dating, it was kind of low key. You know what I
mm,
mean? You don't want too many people to know about that. And so it was a lot of, like I said, it was a lot of low self-esteem. So it that started, well, if I lose weight, well, if I do this, then I'll be accepted. So it was a constant altering of my appearance in order to be accepted.
Mm.
in with most things. And that trickled right on into my adult life of still the constant wanting to be validated. Because again, you got it, I got it, you got it, as in your family, you got it. So if your own family, not necessarily my immediate, my mom or my brother, but it was your cousins and your aunts, if you're getting it from them, that your family, that you're not enough, then it's just like, man, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
so it was just the constant needing the validation all the time. And now and now it's the fight of accepting yourself as a woman,
Mm.
accepting your worth, that you're enough. And there was a lot of work I had to do in order to get to that point, that because that's gonna play a part in your relationships, the men that
Yeah.
you choose, your friendships, all of that plays a part in who you are. And of course it's gonna play a part within your health. Because if you don't feel like you're good enough, you're not going to you don't necessarily want to take care of your body because you don't really love yourself that much. So a lot of
Mhm.
times you just don't want to take care of your body. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna eat because that's what's gonna make me feel good. I'm gonna binge because that's what's gonna make me feel good. And then you just go through this cycle of binging, feel bad, feel guilt, go on a diet, lose the weight, and go right back to the same habits. So there's a lot of work that needed to be done for me to get to this point.
Yeah, and we're gonna dig a little deeper into
Yeah.
it later, because what I see a lot of times, like modern right now, I'll see, those 10-year challenges that people do.
No.
No, so, it's basically like supposed to be a glow up. It's like me today, me 10 years ago, and it's
Okay.
like a
Oh,
picture, right?
okay.
And what I've noticed, I'll see a lot of people use that as an opportunity to almost shame their former self. So when they're like 10 years ago, they were more slim, they were more fit. And then they'll like shame that person, be like, she looked good on the outside, but she was, very unhealthy inside. She, didn't love herself and all that stuff, right? Now so then the 10 years later, they've gained they've went from being maybe like fit to being like overweight or maybe even obese, right?
Right.
And now they're like, oh, this girl loves herself. She knows who she is. Da 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 da. And it's like a slingshot from one end of the spectrum to the other. They haven't found their balance. And I
Yeah.
feel like your journey and your story as it unfolds will kind of start to understand some of the keys
Yeah.
to helping people find that balance.
Yeah.
But I want to get into that a little bit later. But I just want to kind of like put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Um, as you were doing your weight loss and you were kind of doing the yo-yo thing, what would you say was your difference in weight? Like, how much weight would you gain? How much weight would you lose? Was it a spread of 50 pounds? Like, what were you gaining and losing, or was it just random?
Well, I definitely think that, for example, as I got married, I ended up getting married. So you lost weight for the wedding. And I can remember uh I went through a lot of infertility struggles. I went through about 9 years of infertility. I tried IVF. I did IVF 4 times. I ended up getting pregnant. I got pregnant with twins. I lost a twin at 8 weeks, and then I lost a twin, the other son, at 23 weeks. And he actually lived but passed away after a couple of.
Oh.
So that devastated me,
Mm.
because it's like if I have to go back, let me go back a little bit, because during the infertility part, you went through taking tons and thousands of dollars of infertility meds,
Yes.
and going through the transfer, and all going to the doctors and all of this stuff. So that took a toll on me. Okay. But it was, so of course my doctor sat me down after I lost the baby, after I went through infertility, got pregnant, lost the baby. My doctor sat me down and said, we can't help you. We're probably not going to get pregnant naturally,
Mm.
because after all of this, he said, in fact, if you get pregnant, you're probably going to need to use donor eggs to do that. So not only did I deal with you can't get pregnant, then you got to lose donor eggs if it does happen and you do get pregnant. And so I was devastated. After the baby died, I feel like I walked around in a fog. So I piled on the weight. So I lost the weight, then I piled it on. I would say uh it was probably about a good 50 or so pounds. I could remember calling and ordering pizzas and literally throughout the day eating the whole pizza. Because again, what did I learn when I was younger? I learned that food, that's what's gonna make me feel better. So I ended up gaining all this weight. So of course, not only did I lose the baby, go through infertility, the doctor said you can't get pregnant, and then all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I remember going on a walk, and I remember being like, what in the world? Like, why? Like, how did this happen? So I remember saying, I can't change. And people would say, wait on God. It's God's time. And then you're like, I don't have kids. This been 9 years. What are you talking about, God's time? And I get it. I get it in hindsight. Now I get it. But I can remember going on a walk, and I made a decision. I said, you know what? I can't control when I can get pregnant, but I can control what I put in my mouth. I can
Mm.
control my health. I can control that. So I desperately needed something I could control, because as a woman, when you can't have kids when you want, that's huge.
Mm.
Like you're just like, your body is like, why is this happening? That was huge. So I decided to table having kids for a while. But let me just put that aside. This has been a long 9 years. So I decided that I was going to focus on losing weight, but this time I was going to focus on learning how to be healthy. That was my pivotal point of getting into fitness, getting into that kind of thing, getting into weight loss. I was going to focus on just being healthy. And it wasn't about just the aesthetics anymore. It was about saying, I need to feel good in my body. That's what it was about. I needed to feel good. I need to learn what foods are going to make my body feel good, fuel it. And I was like, it wasn't just about weight loss anymore. So that is when I dived into learning and educating myself about nutrition and fitness and weight loss. And when I took the energy off of, I got to lose weight, I got to lose weight, I got to lose weight, to I want to feel healthy, I want to feel good, that weight started to come off every week, because
Mm.
it now I was focused on, let me go to the store and grab some fruit. Let me have some big salads, because wow, this food's made me feel good.
Mm.
This is making me feel better. So I didn't have to take antidepressants or anything like that. And no offense against all of that. I was using the nutrition to heal. And so every week the weight started coming off. And so I was like excited. I felt good in my body. Then I started learning about fitness and started working out a whole lot more. And slowly and surely, I ended up dropping, about I want to say about 70 pounds.
Wow.
Crazy enough, after I dropped the pounds, my husband and I at the time decided that we were going to do foster care. I said, so we were like, oh, that's gonna be great. Let's do foster care, because maybe I'm gonna adopt. Maybe we'll go down that path. We went down that path, took the classes, got a foster care placement. The day of our very first foster care child, I found out that day I was pregnant naturally.
Wow. What?
That day. And it was almost like God was like, let me take your mind off this,
Right.
so you can take the energy and all that resistance that I had away and put the energy in this direction, so I can do whatever it needs to be done. But naturally,
Wow.
naturally, I ended up getting pregnant with my first son.
That's yeah, it's like a movie. That's almost like a movie.
Oh,
You're right. You do need to write a book.
it was like, are you like, what? So yeah, I ended up getting pregnant with my first son. And then we ended up not doing continuing with foster care, because I was considered high risk after everything I've been through. Lost the first baby, so they were like, "You're high risk, so we got to monitor you." My second son, I must say, he ended up being a preemie, coming at 28 weeks. So, but he's a healthy 10-year-old now. And then a couple of years later, I was like, let's have another baby. God saw
Pop
fit.
them out.
Yeah, it was like, let's have another baby. And after 2 tries, got pregnant with my second son, full term pregnancy, no issues. And yeah, so I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old right now. And
Wow.
it was a blessing. And I ended up gaining weight with my second, but I now had the habits in place to know what to do to get the weight off.
Mm-hmm.
That was the difference
Right.
because I needed to build those habits. I needed to learn how to lose weight the right way and not let it all be about the aesthetics and learn it was learning how to fuel my body, how to take care of my body. And it's interesting that once those habits were in place, now that I gained the weight, I'm now able to lose it much
Mm-hmm.
easier.
Yeah, that I mean this is like the first major key really is shifting perspective or put your energy and attention in feeling good holistically
Yes.
versus just wanting to lose the weight.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
a whole difference.
It's
It's a whole
completely
different.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I'm curious with your second son, did you change your eating habits when you were pregnant? Like, because I know a lot of women have these weird cravings, and they eat differently. Of course, you're probably moving different because you wanna be careful. You want to probably rest a little bit more. So,
Yeah.
did your habits change?
I did. I did
Okay.
change my habits. It's because when you lose a baby, even though that baby, my first son, lived a day or two, that was traumatic.
Yeah.
And so the doctors she was like, we gotta be extremely careful with you.
Right.
I did gain weight, but not significantly because toward the end, I had to be on bed rest for a few weeks before he was born. So no, it wasn't a significant amount of weight.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's traumatizing. I don't know if you saw my sister and my brother came on. Well, actually, it was really my sister's interview, but she talked about, like IVF and everything that she had to go through and then they had spent all this money on the IVF treatment. And if I'm not mistaken, they never got pregnant off of that. And
No.
so I was telling them because this is like at the beginning of my wellness career. It's crazy. I was still an electrician and everything, and I was telling them, I'm like, look, if you all change your diet, right? Like, because it's like the focus is either on weight loss or you want to get pregnant or
Yes.
you want to do the focus was on one specific area, and it's never like my focus is purely on changing my diet.
No.
So I'm like, if you guys change your diet, you could just have children naturally.
Right.
And of course, like I'm their brother, they trust me, but then also like the doctors are in their ear, so it's like kind of Chris is the crazy uncle type. And so she did make some changes. She removed like some plastics from her house. She started cooking a little bit more healthy, I guess. She did make some changes. And if I'm not mistaken, either she started losing weight or they both started losing weight,
Mhm.
and then they got pregnant naturally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
That's beautiful. And the thing about it is that I think when I made this shift to lose it, for me, it wasn't about I'm doing it to get pregnant. It
right.
was like I needed this, but I needed just that. I guess I got a little bit control. I got control over this and I want to feel good. But that's magical. That, like he said, that's magical. And
Yes.
sometimes you don't want to think it's just that easy. It's not that easy. Surely it's not that easy. You know what I'm saying? Of just let me just change my diet and it's just gonna happen. I think if somebody were to come up to me after everything I have been through IVF and everything, just change your diet, I've been like, if it was that easy, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I get what
Right.
you're saying, and I get
Yeah.
I get it from her perspective too.
Yeah. Listen, once again, it goes back to the propaganda and everything. They've done a number on us. So it makes sense. But when you think about it, even scientifically, the most simple answer is usually the correct one. Like that's what true scientists believe. And so it's like, yeah, just change your diet. Oh, that makes sense. We overcomplicate everything.
We do.
Forget diet, relationships, finances, just our worldview. Everything is overcomplicated.
I agree.
And it's like it's everything is based off this theoretical science now. It's like well, what if? It's like the if then thing. It's
Yeah.
like playing the if then game throughout all aspects of our life. It's like let's just keep it simple.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
As you went through this process, you learned more about your body. Did you find out causes or mechanisms, things that were going on in your system that were making it difficult for you to conceive? Because it's not natural just to have trouble. So there had to be something going on that was making it difficult for you.
I never found out the root cause. And because I never knew that there could be a root cause.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? When you go to the doctor, you can I went through they checked my fallopian tubes. I went through that procedure. They were blocked and they said that they opened them up. I did all the tests. My husband did all the tests and according to them, there was no reason why it cannot be.
Oh,
And I feel like when you talk about conditioning, and nobody ever said, consider your diet. My infertility doctor, consider your diet.
mm,
Nobody said, consider your diet at all. And I feel like if it's as easy as change your diet, then who's going to make money then? And that is when you're coming in hindsight of what I know now. You're like, if this that easy, yeah. So I feel like, in my opinion, there's always we don't know why, but it's like, but you really don't know why, that kind of thing. Well,
right, right.
let's find the root cause naturally. Well, if we find the root cause naturally, then I won't have to go buy all these infertility drugs to help my ovaries produce extra eggs that
Mm,
cost thousands of dollars. So there's a
mm,
money game in all of this. And
mm.
like I said, it's learning this in hindsight. Now that I'm on the outside looking back, and now we're having that conversation that there's no money to be made in changing your diet. There's no
Yeah.
money made if there's herbs that can naturally boost my fertility. There's no money to be made off of that. And
Mhm.
like your sister, I literally work extra jobs to pay for a round of IVF. $10,000. I
Wow.
was paying payments later after all this is done. The money, applying for
Yeah.
scholarships, trying to get free IVF meds. I would spend days of trying just to get scrap. It was a whole second job in itself just to have a round that did work, but unsuccessful because both embryos end up passing away
Right.
after it was all said and done. And so then you want to take me down the let's do donors. Donor eggs is even more expensive than a regular IVF. So at the end of the day, there is money to be made with women who want it and the desperation that is preyed upon us. Because when you desperately want to have kids, you're gonna pay whatever it takes to get those
Mhm.
babies. So yeah.
Weddings, they're going the same cards that cost $1.99 if it's a wedding are $5.99,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Funerals,
Yep.
they are going to bend you over a table. Someone passed, they're bending you over a table. You want to have children? Run it up. And
Absolutely.
then once you have your children, if your children get sick, you'll pay anything, you'll do anything.
That's right.
They know when we are emotionally charged and
Absolutely.
they prey on us,
Absolutely.
right? It's it is interesting because so when I look at the medical industry holistically, I would say that the mass majority of people in the medical industry are genuinely there, or at least originally went there in order to help others.
Right.
Because like anybody I've ever talked to who was aspiring to be some type of medical professional, I ask why. I like helping people, right? So there's some point between when they're just like uneducated and they just aspire, it's some point between them then and them, actually maybe 10 years into their career where it shifts. And I
Mhm.
think part of it is finances.
Yeah.
You rack up all of this money that you have to pay back to the government or to these, agent whoever loaned you the money,
Yeah.
right? And then they offer you these deals because there's a status. You're a doctor, especially in America. There's a status that you have to uphold as well. So they're like, well, look, if you push this drug, if you push this treatment, if you push this therapy, we'll give you 50% of whatever you make. You're a salesperson at
Yeah.
that point.
Yes.
You're a sales rep.
Yeah.
So you've gone through 10 years of medical school to learn this very specific thing, and they really turn you into a sales rep,
Yeah.
like glorified.
Yeah.
And and then you don't. Now the thing about the nutrition, when I very first started studying wellness or medical professionals, and I found out that they don't really learn nutrition, it
Mhm.
blew my mind.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
Yes.
it's like, isn't that the obvious thing?
Absolutely. From what I heard, it's like 30 hours, and it's 30 hours, and it's their choice whether or not they want to learn even more of that. And if that's not in their specialty, they're like, well, why would I want to do that?
It's a waste of time and money,
It's the time.
right?
Yeah.
Well, and so then you look at, well, why is that? And so what I found out was Rockefeller, when he created the educational board, what we know as the educational board or the board of education today, he created the first iteration of that. And then when they found out that they could take the petroleum and turn it into the drugs, because all of the drugs are petroleum based.
Mhm.
Isn't that interesting?
Mhm.
And of course, Rockefeller owned Standard Oil. He controlled oil.
Mhm.
He's the reason why we pump gas, petroleum in our cars right now.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are very intrigued with the electric cars and all that stuff. It's like we had better technology in the 1900s than we do today.
Right.
But Rockefeller wanted to maintain control of the industry, so he tricked everybody into thinking that fossil fuel is the only way to go.
Mhm.
So as the machine started to churn along, then
Mhm.
all the pharmaceutical companies started to invest in the colleges.
Right.
And so, of course, if I'm your biggest donor, like, your school is about to go out of business, and I'm like, look, I'll come save you, but you got to teach what I want you to teach. That's logical. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
giving you your money. I want you to teach pharmacology.
Mhm.
And thus here we go, right? We've got this, because medical doctors back in the day, they were like, um, you would go to them for specific things. You broke
Mhm.
your arm, you got hit
Mhm.
by a car, you got stabbed, medical
Mhm.
doctor.
Right.
Everybody knew you went to chiropractors, herbalists,
Yeah.
and those type of guys for wellness.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm curious to know, like, what was, because more recently you've kind of been, you had posted in the group about, weight loss and things of that nature. What are some of the tools when you started to, I guess, understand like healthy weight loss? What are some of the tools you leaned into? Tell us about that experience.
Now I would say back in the day because I just probably recently switched probably about almost a year and a half ago. But the traditional, you got to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. You have to make sure it's high protein. You have to make sure you're getting high fiber. You have to make sure that you're getting your steps in. That was kind of that whole fitness philosophy.
Mhm.
Make sure you're weight training 3 to 4 times a week, applying progressive overload. The standard things that most people, and that we're all conditioned that we have to do in order to lose weight. Definitely, um, those were the significant pillars and changing your mindset. Those were traditional pillars by which you are to lose weight. So that is what I started practicing. That is what I started learning about. That is what, when I started working with clients and working with my clients, that's what I taught them. Those were the pillars by which you are to lose weight. Those changed a little bit now, but that's what I those were my pillars.
What level of success? Because now you can kind of compare what your, I guess, what your belief system is now versus then.
Mhm.
What would you say? What was your level of success with your clients with the traditional methods?
My clients were very successful, and I think what really made it sick is the accountability factor,
Mm,
because it's easy. I'm very thankful for the self-drive that I've always had, because all my weight loss is by myself. It wasn't ever me hiring anybody, me having a coach. It was self-driven. This is what I want. That's what I went and did. I didn't like working out with other people. I didn't go. If I did it, it was always by myself. So, but a lot of people, they do it by themselves, and like I said, they give themselves a free pass. If I don't want to go work out, what? And like I said, I always tell my clients that your mind is never going to be on board with any change that you want to make. It's like I always say your mind doesn't care that you want to lose weight. Your mind cares about keeping you safe. So if you're doing something outside of that box and you're like, let me go hit the gym 3 or 4 times and you have not done that, your brain's gonna be like, what are you doing? We don't go to the gym every day. So it's going to give you a reason why. No, you went to the gym yesterday. It's a work, it's a rest day. And with us in our mind, we're gonna be like, you know what? You right. We're gonna stay home today. But when you have the accountability and you have somebody checking on you and saying, hey, I need you to send me a picture of you at the gym or that kind of thing, it knocks it up a notch.
Mhm.
So, what my clients find success, I believe, and they tell me mostly, it's about the accountability to someone else. So, it's that kind of being that studious student. I like to make sure that I'm pleasing the coach type factor. So, I think accountability makes the biggest difference with my clients.
I would actually agree with you. You actually say something that I say all the time, which is we tend to be more accountable to others than we are to ourselves.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's something that I understood. Let's just use that as a tool. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it would be great for everybody to be able to be self accountable, but it's something maybe about our environment as
Yeah.
children. I don't know that we struggle with that, but also could just be our design.
Yeah.
We're like human beings tend to do better together, not
Yes.
like as little lone wolves. So
Yeah.
man, I watched a documentary on the lone wolves. It is rough for a lone wolf. Like, you hear that term, people, it's like a term of endearment. I'm a lone wolf, da da da.
Yeah.
Man, in real life, lone wolves go through.
Yes. Yes.
um,
They do.
so for you, it's so interesting because you went through these phases in your life. You eventually went to like the traditional thing, the like training, and you're doing the traditional fitness route. What what why'd you change that? Like, you're doing the traditional thing, you're seeing success with your clients. What changed there? Why did you progress past that, I guess?
Okay, that's the big question. So I would say probably last year, I want to say was it yeah, I would say last year around February, I started having some health concerns. Well, and I'm going to be 47 this year, 48 this year.
I knew it was
And
coming
so
out eventually. Now hold on, I know you're gonna try to spin, go right past that. You're gonna be 40 what?
48 this year.
Listen, when I very first saw you and heard your age, I was just like, no. Like, sometimes you want to compliment a woman, so you might be like, okay, she look like she's 40, but I'm gonna say she's
Yeah.
36, right?
Yeah.
No, like you literally, I'm just like, there's no way. I thought you were closer to my age for sure. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So anyway, you look great, but go
Well,
ahead.
thank you very much. So yeah, so I assumed because my doctor told me when I was going through the whole infertility thing that your eggs are old. It's like, goodness, you're probably gonna go through early menopause. So I assumed with all the health conditions, I was having my hands were shaking. I will wake up, my body would be completely stiff, joint pain, heart palpitations. I felt like my heart was gonna be out of my chest. I was having significant hot flashes. I would wake up drenched. So I was assuming that, maybe I'm going through perimenopause. But I think when my hands would be shaking and I would get the significant heart palpitations and they weren't going away, I was like, okay, it's time to figure out what's going on.
Mhm.
So I made an appointment and to my primary, and he thus made an appointment with a specialist. And crazy enough, when you go to a specialist, that you have to wait like 3 to 4 months before you get in with a specialist. And I'm like, you'll be anyway. So I was like, okay. So in the meanwhile, while I'm waiting, let me just overhaul everything. Because in my opinion, in order to have something completely different, you have to be willing to do something completely different. So
Mhm.
I said, well, I'm not just gonna wait until I go to this specialist. I'm going to change everything now. So I decided that I'm gonna stop eating meat. I'm going to stop eating dairy. I'm going to stop eating those two major everything because I started diving into things a more holistic manner. And I was like, and so from everything I'm reading, a lot of things come from inflammation in the body. So I was like, okay, so if this is inflammation, what do I need to do to lower the inflammation in my body? So I was like, started with meat. I said, we're gonna stop eating meat. And anybody I know would be like, this must be serious. Is she giving up meat? Because as you know, as a fitness professional, in my world, you're only going to get your protein in from animal proteins. That is what I thought. I knew. And I was like, that was it. So my family was like, this must be serious because she's not eating meat. That was the whole thing. Everybody thought you sick, something wrong with you. That everybody called me because I gave it up. So I said, I'm going to go raw foods for a significant amount of time to see what happens.
Okay.
So I did that. I went on this raw food diet, started losing all this, dropping this weight. You know, my family thought I was crazy. And but I did see significant change. Now, the heart palpitations and things didn't completely go away. However, I found that I was having so much energy and I was like, I feel really good. Ended up going to the endocrinologist and come to find out I had hyperthyroid. So hypothyroid is much more prevalent than
Mhm.
hyper. So hyper, of course, everything's sped up versus hypo is like thyroid function is kind of lowered a little bit.
Right.
So doctor said hyperthyroidism, Graves' disease, and that's what was going on with me. But here's the thing that really made me dive deep into everything, into my wellness, is you go to the specialist, you spend, I probably spent 8 to 10 minutes in his office my first visit. He walked in, I had to do my blood work. He said, you have hyperthyroid. Here's some medicine. Um, it's Graves and take this medicine and I'll see you in 4 weeks. Walked out the door.
Crazy.
And every time I went to see this doctor, I left in tears because when I would ask a question, it was almost like, why are you asking me questions? I'm the doctor. This is what it is. I need you to take this medication and come back. And so, do you and it wasn't even do you have questions? And how do I know what questions to have based upon what you just told me that I know
Mhm.
nothing about? So, I had to go to YouTube University, Google University to learn what is hyperthyroid
Right.
and what is Graves' disease.
That's insane. Like,
Insane. And
I've
I'm
heard
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I don't want to cut you off, but I've heard these stories about the doctors and how you spend 15 minutes. You said not even 15. Hey, you've got Graves' disease. Here's some medicine. See you in 4 weeks. No, well, here's what it is. No, this is how to remedy it. Like, that's crazy. Please continue. I'm sorry.
That's what it was. I left the doctor's office in tears. And the thing about it is, it's like the PA, the physician assistant, comes in and does the initial legwork, asks you questions to go tell him for him to say, okay, okay, come in the room. And it's almost like the physician assistant is gonna keep him from having to do even more that he needs to. But so I had to go home and research all of this. And so this time I went in with my questions that I wanted to ask him. And the medication, I take that back. It wasn't 4 weeks, it was 6 weeks. Because it takes about 6 weeks for the medication to kick in. Looked at now, this is coming from a person that never had to take meds in my life. So I was scared because he gave me medication for the thyroid and he also gave me medication for the heart palpitations. But and so I immediately joined this Facebook group because you know you got a Facebook group for everything. So so I joined the Facebook group for people that's going through what I'm going through.
Mhm.
And so post my questions there, trying to get answers for what exactly this is. So of course, Graves' disease is autoimmune where your immune system is attacking your thyroid. And so it's just out of balance. Hyperthyroidism, everything's sped up. So I write my questions down because apparently I wasn't supposed to be having certain types of food. The doctor never told me that to alter your diet. He never said any of that. Even the ladies in the group was like, he never told you that. You need to fire him, all this other kind of stuff. So went back with questions. Uh, um, so my labs did improve. So he did lower the meds. But I still kept with my raw food diet. I stayed on that. And so went with my questions. Okay, great. The medication has helped. So he gave me a significant dose from what I in hindsight and went because I did let him go to another doctor. He ended up giving me the medication. It did improve slightly. So he adjusted the meds, went back 6 weeks later. Apparently, he had over medicated me because now he was supposed to adjust it so that my thyroid can regulate. He ended up giving me too much meds. So now my thyroid function slowed down significantly. So there he goes. When I went, I tried to ask questions again. It was almost it wasn't almost. It was every time I ask a question, I get attitude from him.
Mm.
Attitude. Like this is not just get off the medication. That's what he said. Just stop taking the medication. That was it.
I mean, that's not bad advice.
Yeah,
in my
it wasn't.
opinion.
Yeah. Well, the reason why it was scary is because everybody told me that if you suddenly get off this medication, that you're gonna die pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I was scared to get on the medication, but I did. And everybody in the group says you just can't stop taking it because blah, blah, blah. This medication messes with your liver function, messes with everything. And so I go back and now you just tell me to get off of it.
Right. With the attitude.
With an attitude. So I got off the medication and we were done because there shouldn't be any reason why I'm paying you money to come to you to leave your office crying.
Right.
And that is where, people I learned and people are like, you're paying your doctor. They're working for you. You're paying them for a service. There shouldn't be any reason why somebody's treating you like that when you're going to the doctor. So I had to get rid of him. So I got off the medication. And like you said, it ended up being a blessing in disguise. Let me tell you where you come in.
Okay. I got a part in this movie. Come on.
Yes. Because thus rolling fasting, water fasting. Because I was doing the raw foods. I was feeling better. But I was like, you know what? It's time for me to crank this up a little bit. This is where you decide I am not going to put my health in the hands of a doctor. I'm not doing it. So he released me from the medication because in my water fasting, I started researching water fasting in the midst of all of this because I would come home and just start researching what foods are good for thyroid function. What is this? And I say it on my raw food shorty because I felt like you're giving yourself living foods. Surely this is helping. So I saying, you know what? I want to try water fasting. So that's what I found your channel. I saw you had Tiffany on your show who did 21 days of water fasting. I saw her on another channel. And I was like, I see myself in that girl right there. That was it. And then Tiffany came back and she said she did like another round, right?
Tiffany goes hard.
Yes. So I said, okay, I'm going to start doing fasting. So I started researching it because I'm a big research girl. I want to know why I'm doing something when I did it. So you guys had a 21-day cycle start in January, the first part of the year where you were hosting a 21-day fast. I say, I'm doing it. I'm going to do fasting because there's no way I'm going to do fasting by myself, not knowing what I'm doing. And from being scared, people were saying, if you try to fast and you have thyroid functions, you can die. All of this stuff that they would tell me. And I was scared to death to try it. But I said, we're going to do fasting. And so I was so relieved that after I learned, I was kind of scared about it. But then I learned that if I'm not on meds, that's even better to do my water fasting because I was kind of apprehensive about doing it and you were on medication. So when he told me that to get off of it, I'm like, this is perfect. I can now do water fasting. So I was like, wow. It was almost like this is your next path. This is your logical next step. We're gonna do water fasting. So I remember I was so scared because when you do things again outside of your comfort zone, your brain is sending off signal, stop, you're gonna die. What are you doing? Girl, everything. Because again, my brain does not care whether or not I want to heal my thyroid. My brain cares that I need Makita to be safe. This is not safe. This is nothing you've ever done before. So I remember I joined AHA. I joined the group. I was like, but we're gonna do this. And I remember messaging you. I was like, I said, I'm kind of scared. I got in the chat. Let me tell you, and I'm giving a shout out to your group because it is the most professional, amazing experience that I have ever been through. Why? Because everything is so organized. The group is organized. You guys answering questions. Y'all would do the live. The energy was so high vibe. I love that. I've been in a lot of different challenges. The energy was so high vibe there of everybody being excited. You're like, yo, we all excited about not eating.
That is crazy. I've never thought about that.
Like I said that, I'm like, we all excited about not eating for 21 days. So I did the liver flush and I was that student. I had to do everything right. I did all of that. I ordered the herbs, everything. And I remember putting in the group, I have thyroid issues. I'm kind of afraid. And I remember you messaging, you said, I've had a lot of people go through this fasting journey with thyroid issues and they were fine. That's all I needed to hear. I'm like, let's go. We're doing it. That's all I needed to hear. Went through the fasting, the water fasting, and it was rough. It was rough. And I think the good part about it with me is you guys do the preparation. People just hop into fasting. I love the fact that you take people through a preparation because that's important and you want to skip out on that part. But that was very important. And I felt more confident going into this because of the preparation. And I remember Tiffany saying how much success she found because she did the prep. So we did the prep, went through the fast. I stopped at 15 days versus the 21 days. I did stop at 15 days. But what I'll tell you is that I developed a rash all around my thyroid. And I was like, are you kidding right now? That my body was detoxing all around here. It was magical. I'm literally showing all my rash to everybody. And they were like, why you call me your rash though? I'm like, do you see? My body's detoxing.
Yeah.
Detoxing around here.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was great. Like I went to work. I still cooked for my family. I still took care of my kids because let me tell you, your kids don't care whether or not you fasting. They still want to eat. They still want you taking care of them. All of that. I was able, it was like, wow. I went to work and I'm a physical education teacher. That is my career. So I'm outside teaching my students and I'm like, and my coach is like, girl, you ain't ate in 10 days. And I was like, isn't that crazy?
Hey, you're a physical education teacher too?
Yes. Yes.
Jeez.
And they're relayed. And I bet that just shows you the brilliance of our body. You know what I'm saying? Like we live in a society that you don't eat, you skip breakfast and you like, girl, you ain't ate breakfast. You gotta go eat. Because that's all we eat. We eat, we eat, we eat. And not realizing we eat all the time. You know what I mean? We're taught, I used to teach my clients, you need to be eating breakfast, a snack, a lunch, a snack, and dinner. Because you need to be eating all the time to keep your metabolism going. Look, I'm thinking, girl, you've been teaching these people this kind of stuff. It's like it's the whole better, do better now.
Yeah.
But yes, I ended up going to the 15 days. And I was really proud of myself for going through 15 days of not eating. I felt the effects of the fast weeks after it was over. Weeks. Like I still felt the benefits of it. I feel like I felt more benefits after it was over than through the fast for sure. But so I ended up going back to my doctor and my labs, everything had improved dramatically. I went to my new doctor in which he actually did his job, sat down with me. What is this? everything improved dramatically. And so I'm staying on this journey because I think the last time I went, my thyroid function was like within a point of being regulated. Like,
Wow.
point, like, so I was like, okay, so we're gonna stay where we are because obviously what we're doing is working.
Working.
But Chris, I tell you, I was the person that I'm sure you guys probably get when you're doing something that's out of the norm, you get your haters.
Mhm.
And I was one of them. I was one of them. I was the person that was like, you don't gotta fast. You ain't gotta fast to detox. First of all, you don't even gotta detox because you got kidney in the liver. I used to,
Mhm.
because my clients, but do you think I have to detox? I'm like, girl, no, you have to detox. The people who I saw doing water fasting, doing doing water fasting, doing juice fasting, extended juice fasts. I was that person that's like, y'all are doing so much. Like you sit back, just being all judgy.
Mm.
Just they doing too much. You don't got to do all of that. And now you're that person. I'm that person that's like, yes, you do, y'all. I was wrong. I was wrong. Like, if you go to my Instagram, like even just the years ago, you'll be like, I have people like, girl, I thought you said. I'm like, I know, I've changed. Now I know better. But you gotta be willing to be humble enough to say I was wrong. I
Mhm.
didn't know. And you're really thanking the creator for opening your eyes and deciding you were ready to receive such information that is now life changing. Absolutely life changing. Because
Oh.
like since then I've done the dry fast, I've done a water fast, and I did a 37-day juice fast.
What?
Yes. I just
Ugh.
dived all in.
You hey, listen, we gotta keep going now. Cause I want to know about the juice fast. I want to know about these experiences. We gotta dip into it a little bit. You got time?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right. So first of all, I want to commend you on, it takes a lot for people to be, especially when you're like hardcore into one way and now you're converted and it's like, yeah, I was wrong. That takes a lot. So
Yeah.
I don't want to I don't want to just brush over that. That is huge. Just it shows a lot about your character.
Yeah.
But me personally, if I was one of your clients or if I was just somebody who followed you, to me that would speak volumes about your, how trustworthy you are. Like, yes, you were giving information that maybe wasn't complete, but
Yeah.
you as soon as you found a better way, you changed it and you offered that. So, cuz like we can't expect people, especially wellness professionals to be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
We're in a world where everything's deception.
Mhm.
Everything we've been taught is a lie. I'm reading a book right now. I got it here. It's called The Invisible Rainbow by
Got it.
author Furstenberg. Let me see if
Mhm.
it'll it is not gonna adjust. Don't get me started on my camera setup. Anyway, but it really it teaches you about the effects of electricity on the body. And
Mm.
when I say that it's like nothing that I've never heard stuff like this. And I used to be an electrician, and we go through OSHA 8 and OSHA 10, these crazy training sessions to teach you about safety,
Yeah.
and literally nothing that's in this book has been taught in the OSHA classes. Like, so
Wow.
we have no idea how dangerous electricity is. But
Yeah.
the point is, we are on a journey. We are learning, right? We've got to dig ourselves out of this wellness hole. And so you're gonna be wrong about things. It's
Yeah.
just really about, hey, when you learn something new, you know better, you do better, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So the I do want to highlight, I think you're 100% correct. You got the rash right around the thyroid. That's we know exactly what's going on there. Um, oh yeah, I just wanted to provide some color when you have heart palpitations. I don't know if you still do you still get them?
No.
Okay. So when you have heart palpitations, um, because I had heart palpitations
Mhm.
when I before I ever started fasting, it was one of the things that like caused me to start fasting. And then when I started fasting, they actually got worse.
Wow.
And what I learned was that as your body starts to remove the chemical constituents from any type of drugs or anything that you ever synthetics, birth control,
Mhm.
even there's drugs in our food. So like
Oh, yeah.
sometimes people are like, well, I've never taken drugs. It's like your food is a drug though.
Oh,
Like it's all crystals,
oh,
like
yeah.
crystals burgers is
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
Frankenstein food.
Yeah.
And so as the body is starting to get that stuff out of your system, what happens is you basically you get an overdose of chemicals because
Yeah.
the body is like
Right.
pushing all the stuff out, and
Wow.
gives you the heart palpitations.
Yeah.
But so tell me about your experience. So what's the order of operation? You did the 21 day, you got your labs came back better, you saw the progress. I'm assuming you didn't go back on the thyroid medication.
No.
Okay. And so then you went into water fasting and then you did the dry and then you did tell me the order of operation.
I did the raw first, so
Okay.
the raw foods. We did the 21 day. We did the water fast, and it's funny you mentioned because on the water fast, there was a moment where I woke up, and I think the waking up was always the hard part for me, just kind of getting up out of bed in the morning, and I can remember getting all anxiety because I my my heart would start speeding up, and I can remember my mind going, girl, you got to stop this. You got to stop this fast. You got to stop this fast.
Mhm.
And the more that thought came, the more my heart started racing. I start sweating. And literally, I told my husband, I said, you gotta go get some water. I am freaking myself out right now. Like my mind is trying to shut it all down. And I had to breathe and put just kind of breathe. And I remember telling myself, all is well,
Mm.
and just whispering, all is well. Because I had to calm myself down because it was like my brain was shutting it all down. But so I was just kind of piggybacking off of that, of how powerful our minds are to talk us out of things. And I was completely fine. But because those thoughts were, something about to happen. But
Mhm.
I did the raw, then I did the fasting, and then you guys start talking about dry fasting at some point where you guys had a dry fasting challenge.
Yeah.
I didn't do I think I did only 2 days of dry fasting. Then I've done 1 day off, I've done those periodically. And then during the water fast, I felt like the universe was like, yeah, after this, you're going to do a juice fast. And I was like, yeah, probably not. Do you see me, God, right now? That's how I was like, no, probably not. So I remember knowing I'm supposed to do a juice fast and avoiding it. I'm
Mhm.
not. I'm like, come on, come on. So finally, I decided, okay, it's time. Let's do a juice fast. And I started that in April and did the 37-day juice fast, which I actually really ended up liking. It
Mhm.
wasn't bad at all. I decided to do the juice fast. And all of this was because you're putting doctor's appointments in between all of this. And my goal was we're going back to the doctor and he's saying, you good, girl. That was my why.
Yeah.
And he was like, come back in 4 weeks. I sure will. We're going to come back better. That's
Yeah.
always my goal because I'm trying not to see you no more. I'm trying not to see you, have to pay you. And number three, you're not putting me back on medication. And I had already told my husband, I said, no matter what he says, because he said if I come back again and it's still not completely, I'm just gonna give you a low dose. No, you're not. You're not gonna give me a low dose of nothing. And I told my husband, even if no, you're not, if my body is regulating itself,
Mhm.
it's just taking a little bit more time. Think of
Mhm.
how many toxins for years I had been putting in my body. And that's just piggybacking off what you said. And
Mhm.
even though I was talking with someone else, I said at some point you have to be truthful with what you're putting into your body. And I said if I had to be truthful, I was drinking too much wine. I was still eating processed foods. It wasn't perfection
Mhm.
until last year where it was like my body was like, sis, what all this stuff you're doing too much. Now my body's screaming at me, right? And so you have to come to terms with of all the stuff that I was still putting it. So yeah, I was a fitness professional. I was presumably eating healthy. Yes, I was getting my protein, but getting it from animal products, getting it from protein chips, getting it from protein shakes. That's not that you're just buying from the store.
Yeah.
So I was big jerky processed meats. I was the queen of processed meats. I was the queen of still eating bacon and stuff like that. Still eating a lot of foods that were high protein but was not good for me at all. And like I said, we can for me, it was I was still drinking the social, but then the one wine turns into two, turns into three, turns into a girl, you don't drink the whole bottle. So, but you have to learn how to be truthful with yourself. That's what you was doing, and you were doing that for a few years. So and I remember you saying something. I watched one of your interviews, and you said, I was still having moments in which I was still eating my emotions. I would have binging sessions. And I remember you saying that if you're eating all this food in one day and you're having one bowel movement, that food's still in you. And I remember you said that math ain't math. I remember you saying one of your videos. And I was like, oh, he is right. He's right. I said, we just got food just sitting in us right now.
Yeah.
And that is where the detoxing stuff started coming. Is where you're just like, you are right. We're sitting here with all this food just sitting in us right now. And so, yeah, that is where everything kind of shifted more holistically. So the raw foods, the diet, tried the dry fasting. My mom tried dry fasting, same thing, and then the juice fast, and then here we are. But all learning, all learning. I've learned so much since starting this journey. Like you can look at it, and this is where you have to look at things that you thought were like, man, why am I going through this? And you're now starting to say, this is a blessing, girl. This is where you were supposed to go. This is your path that you were supposed to walk down. And like you said, it's perspective because was difficult. This is probably one of the most difficult paths I've ever had to walk because you're talking going Christmas last year when my mom cooks, that lady can cook, she cooks. And I had to take my own food because I was in Prom.
Yeah.
So they all eat mac and cheese was my favorite, ham, all the things, my favorite foods. I look forward to having those foods because I'm still dieting off and on, trying to keep my, as a fitness professional, counting calories still. And Thanksgiving was like, it's about to go down.
I already know.
Thanksgiving, it was Thanksgiving and Christmas of last year. I was eating raw. And they were like, why you not eating? Well, girl, she eating raw, That's what everybody said. Pick it on me. She this. And so hardest thing ever. Everybody's eating and enjoying all the sweets, and I'm there with my raw foods, my raw little avocado and Thanksgiving, Christmas. Now it's the hardest journey I've ever had to walk. But when you look at, I'm 40, I'll be 48 this year. And most people my age have college students because I went my path. They're like, why you had kids so late? I ain't have control over that. I couldn't have kids. But I'm an older mom with two very, very active boys. I don't want to go to the park and sit there and have to watch them because I can't get up and go play. I want to be out there playing. We went to the beach yesterday and I'm not there. Let's race. Come on. They used to race on, let's race up the hill. Let's race down the hill. I want to be able to do that. So they were my whys. When I would get discouraged, I would say, come snuggle with mommy. And I would just say, oh, you're my why. Because I would cry. You talking about cry? On the water fast, I would cry. And I would be like, watching people eat. I'm like, y'all get to eat that. And I'm here not, it's been very, very challenging, but the most rewarding in the end. But
how it works.
Yeah, I can't say that. I see people that say they do the water fast and they're like, it was magical. And I'd be like, no, it wasn't. It was a great experience, yes, because of your health, but it during the fast wasn't euphoric for me.
Well, that actually, one thing I wanted to ask you as we look at like the different methods, because you've had so much experience in such a short period of time with this fasting. If we go back to before you started the 21 days, so I guess it was like around the December time.
Mhm.
What was your weight going into the 21 day? Do you remember what you weighed coming out of the 21 day?
I don't remember exactly, but I lost 16 pounds.
Okay. And then
It
you
was like
did.
a, go ahead. It was like around 150s, 160s. And then I remember my lowest weight during the fast. I want to say it was like around 139, 130. I was like, oh Lord, I ain't never seen that weight in my life.
And
Hmm.
that it is that's kind of like a weird thing too, because I know when you're a fitness trainer and your muscles and glutes and you know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of people they don't feel comfortable smaller. Like what was it
My family
uncomfortable?
like, girl, you
Yeah.
look thick. What's what you know, my mom, it was one of those things where I'm very thankful. My immediate family, my husband, my mom, they all supported what I was doing, but they got to the point where when I started doing juice fast, that
Mhm.
now you doing too much.
Right. I figured.
Yeah, they like you getting really skinny. And yes, I lost a lot of muscle mass because when you go through high, and that's not because of I think it's not because of the fast. It's because when you go through hyperthyroid, you have what they call muscle wasting. Like if I would bend down, I would literally feel my muscles shaking. It
Mm,
was pain. I had so much pain, a lot of joint pain. So I was scared to do a lot of lifting. I
mm,
scared myself. I had a lot of anxiety about doing lifting because I'm like, man, this hurt. And I don't want to hurt anymore if I start lifting. So I didn't do a whole lot of heavy lifting. So ultimately, I did lose a lot of muscle because of that. I'm
mm.
just now getting back to weightlifting a lot more, but at the time, my health was more important than any of that.
Right.
Any of that, because I know, you can get back to that. Right now, my priority was the weight, but yes, I had never seen 139 in my life. That was the smallest I've ever been. This is the smallest weight that I've been. I'm around 145. But the significant change, and I was talking to you, I did an IG live and I said, this is the first time in my life where I feel free to eat without flipping it over, looking at the calories, without having to look at the labels.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most free as I've ever felt. Now I just eat. I
Mm-hmm.
don't look at labels. I don't, and I've been able to consistently maintain this weight, which I actually like, and maintain it without thinking, oh, don't eat that. Oh, don't eat that. I just eat now, and it's
Yeah.
so freeing, so freeing.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Mhm.
I had that thought to ask you that question earlier, and I just didn't. And but I did. I wanted to know that. I wanted to know, like, if because counting calories is a big part of the doctrine, you
Yes.
know, and it makes sense because when you go that route, you got to, like, you're eating processed foods and
Yep.
you're not digesting well, and your body's low functioning. You do got to do that, but there's a freedom in, one thing, if you think about, like, okay, the raw eating, okay, that's restrictive. The juice fasting and the dry fat and water, everything's restrictive, but it's like, but when you do things the traditional way, it's actually the true restrictive way.
Yep.
When I was eating like standard American diet, I would
Mhm.
eat chicken, beef, some pork. I didn't really go do a lot of bacon,
Mhm.
and that was pretty much it. I didn't eat fish. I wasn't really in. So
Yep.
those were the meats I ate. I would do like spaghetti. I would do burgers. I would do steaks. And then when I moved to Texas, I was getting into like Mexican food. So I would do like
Mhm.
tacos and pupusas and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
But and pizza and
Yeah.
pizza.
Yep.
But that was it. That's
Yep.
what I was eating.
Yeah.
I never knew what smoked paprika tastes like because I didn't season
Me
my food.
either.
Right? It was salt, season all,
Yep.
maybe some garlic salt or something like that. And that was literally it. So
That
when
was
I
it.
made vegetables, it was all the same. Everything. When I switched to alkaline food, when I switched to eating raw, when I started juicing, like I'm eating fruits I never even heard of.
Exactly. Yup.
Jackfruit, rambutan, coconut sprouts, and bananas. I had a banana. I bought what's called a Miami fruit box,
Hmm.
and they had these little bananas, and it was so moist.
Yeah.
Like it was, how bananas are
Yeah.
typically dry.
Yes.
It was so moist, it reminded me of a grape.
Yep.
Like the flavor. I was like,
Wow.
what is this?
Wow.
So when we talk about restrictive, it's like, no, we're being tricked into believing that our freedom of choice and eat whatever you want is the unrestricted diet, but that's the restrictive lifestyle.
Right. That's right. I totally agree with you. It is. I'm telling you, my family, they probably so sick of me. Because we are conditioned. I'm all like, we are, I'm always like seeing all of this. I said, I I remember being having all of these epiphanies, like what you're saying, and just breaking down and crying.
Mm,
And because of the fact that I said we're so conditioned now. We're so conditioned. And even you're talking, I've been doing my Instagram with my business for over 10 years, and I've taught these things, and I'm having to revamp everything. I'm having to say it's not lining up with what I believe anymore. I
mm,
can no longer teach this way anymore. And the fear of people saying, I've gotten the unfollows, I've gotten this, I've gotten the messages, so we ain't eat meat now, huh? You
mm,
taught eat this, and I can look back at my old meal preps of all the processed food I was eating. They were meal preps, they were high protein, but they were all processed foods
mm.
that I was eating. And just like you said, I was in the box. I know the calories and anything. You didn't even I didn't have to look hardly anymore because I
Yeah,
know. Because
yeah.
I've done it for years and years. I could tell you how many calories that meal has in it. I can see the fast food. I would go to the fast food restaurant. Let's find a healthier option and make videos about it. And I
Mhm.
just like, wow. And it almost feels like you stepped out. And I told my husband, you stepped out of the matrix.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like. And you're on the other side looking like, wow, it is insane of what I've been learning about it. And I was just like, and like, I just feel free.
Mm.
I have more energy than I've ever had. I'm going taking my kids to the beach, and my kids are like, "Oh, mom." I'm like, "That's okay. You gonna get this fruit." Like I wasn't even eating vegetables like that.
Yeah.
The so-called health professional, I wasn't even eating vegetables. If I ate a little salad and thought I was doing something back then.
Mhm.
But I taught you base your meals off of your protein first,
Mm.
and then you base everything around it because you got to get your protein in. So that protein can be chicken or Greek yogurt or cottage cheese or something like that. And then you build your meals. The fruit and vegetables, yeah, we're gonna add that in. Fruit, no ma'am.
Ah.
Because fruit got a lot of calories in it.
Mm.
That I would avoid having the fruit as much because
Mm.
it has the high calories in it. And now I'm starting my day with a big old bowl of watermelon and blueberries. And I started my day with that yesterday and running up and down the hill, racing my kids at the beach. I stopped and be like, girl, look at all this energy you have. Like
Mhm.
you're shocking yourself at how much energy that I've had. And my mom is making a lot of significant changes. She's 75. One thing about her is she's one of those people though, she'll say something, but she'll be like, let me try that. You know, let me try that fasting. Let me do.
Okay.
So little by little, she has made significant changes in her diet and seeing huge returns. And the
Mm.
biggest thing with her is I was like, Mom, once you go here, you can't go back.
Right.
So my friends are like, so you're never going to? I said, because some people would say you do a water fast, you do a juice fast. Now your binging habits are escalated.
Mhm.
I didn't find that. I found that I want to feel amazing. When you get my age, and you're a woman and you going through menopause, your body's changing, you're having hot flashes, you want to feel great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my goal. I want to feel healthy, I want to feel great. So I don't want to go back to if I know I can feel this amazing and you're telling me, you mean to tell me I don't have to have chicken? I don't
Right.
have to have these things to get protein in? I don't, and my blood work, I had to show my family protein was just fine. And I haven't had meat in probably at least over 8 or so months, if
Mm-hmm.
not longer than that. And my protein,
Especially considering what you
yeah,
do, PE,
yeah,
you're running up and down the
yeah,
beach,
yeah.
like.
Like the whole protein, it's just like even I cry a lot, Chris. I
I.
cried over the fact that that the protein myth, I call it. You
Mm-hmm.
mean to tell me I've been saying that you have to have protein and it has to come from here. That is what I thought was the case. And I didn't even realize that green vegetables and vegetables even had as much protein as I've learned that they do have. Or
Right.
that you get as much protein from plants. I had no idea of this until you embarked on this journey.
And isn't it really just the amino acids?
It's
That's
the
really
acids.
just like.
Like all of that. And,
Yeah.
and now I'm explaining this. They're like, what? I'm like, it's the amino acids that your body really needs. I was like, look at
Yeah.
that big old elephant. Look at that gorilla. What do you think they're getting their protein from? You
Right.
know, they ain't eating, they're not out here. They're eating the plants. We're gonna skip the middleman. You just like, and they're like, oh wow. It's just it's insane. But it's so enlightening. And I was saying that once you come to this lifestyle and you go back, I was telling my mom, she would do the fasting. She had a cough. Nobody can explain where this cough comes from. She has been the specialist medical professional. She's got on medication. They say she had asthma. I'm talking years. She did a fast. The cough subsided,
Don't.
right? So she was like, Kita, my cough is gone. I was like, see, your body, she kind of gradually goes back
Mm.
to eating because her husband, no, everybody else is in bring the chicken home, bring the Chinese home, bring this home.
Mhm.
Little by little, little nibbles, she goes back.
Yeah.
The cough comes back.
Yeah.
Couple of months later, then she does it again. I said, well, mom, why don't you just go ahead and switch over to raw foods and see how you like that? You said you felt better. Gave her, I think, some oil of oregano.
Oh yeah. Good.
So
Yeah.
I gave her that. She took that. Kita, I'm like, see? And then the cough was gone. Her
Mhm.
birthday came. And so now she's back at square one. And she said, I know. Said, here's the thing. And my mom's very religious, very God this. And she made a statement and she said, well, Keita, you should be able to pray over the food and let God bless it. I was like, Mom, I said, you think about that statement.
Mm.
I said, God has given you a path 3 different times on how to get rid of this cough. I said, but God gives us free will. If you continue to choose to go back to the very foods that you see is not serving you, then how can you tell God to bless that?
Right.
And she's like,
Mm.
wow, I can't even say nothing. That's what she said.
Ooh, you hit
I
her.
can't even say nothing. I said, you can't. I said, I almost feel guilty saying, God bless this pizza I'm about to eat that I know ain't good for my body.
Yeah.
Just like, no, 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 no. And I said, that's what I told her. I said, I can't go back to how I was eating before because now.
Mm-hmm.
You can't operate in ignorance now. And I said, oftentimes we know what to do, but we choose to operate in ignorance. I said, I can't do that because then I'm welcoming whatever comes along with that because
Mm-hmm.
eating this way is going to give me a good or bad consequence, a consequence, and eating this way is going to give me a consequence. I'm going to choose which one I want.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I know these foods aren't serving me, I'm not going to keep eating them because I'm going to get whatever comes with that.
Listen. Ooh. Ah, that was a nugget right there. And it's funny because I when me and my brother John very first started our health journey, I had that discussion with myself. I'm like, how is it we've been blessing our food? We were taught to bless our food since we, 5,
Yeah.
6 years old, right? How is it we've been blessing our food all this time and yet we're still getting sick from eating it? Because it doesn't work that way.
That's right.
I can't go and do a negative action and ask God to bless it and
Yeah.
turn it into a positive action. That don't even make sense. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Now, one thing that I noticed with your mom, first of all, shout out to mom because
Yes.
the her desire to even want to attempt, right,
Yes.
to make those changes, that's very,
Yes.
very powerful. But I noticed that people, when they do something, they get a result, and then they go back to old habits, they will justify, right?
Mm.
They're going to justify what they're doing and why they're experiencing. I have had many elders in my life who have had issues, whether it's
Mhm.
menopause or
Mhm.
other diseases.
Mhm.
I'm like, fast,
Yeah.
right? We finally get them fasting. They're losing weight. I mean, they're looking good. They feel better than they've ever felt before. Cognitive function, menopause, all that stuff gone.
Yeah.
Forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely trickle back into those original habits
Yeah.
and everything comes back. And it's like, hey, how have you been doing with your diet? And oh, well, okay, well, do you think maybe the reason why you're having problems is because you've gone back into these old habits? Well, I'm getting older, and they start to just. It's like
Yes.
my mom when I started this thing, we took it to our family, and we're like, look, we got to get better. And my mom at the time, her hair was stark white.
Mhm.
Now at the time she's in her 60s, maybe like early 60s
Mhm.
or late 50s. I can't really
Mhm.
remember exactly. She might have been her mid to late 50s, and I'm like, Mom, your hair is not stark white at this age because of your age. I was
Wow.
like, you are sick. Not only did she have like stark white hair, she also had a big patch that her hair had fallen out.
Yeah.
And we got her fasting because my mom, like, she's always had a lot of respect for me, even when I was a child.
Mhm.
Like, she's always had a lot of respect for me.
Mhm.
And she started making the changes, and she dropped, I mean, a ton of weight. I don't even remember how much weight, 30 pounds.
Mhm.
Her hair started turning back black, and then
Wow.
the patch started to fill back in. She got beautiful locks now, you
Oh,
know? And so it's like we cannot make excuses for
yeah.
our health. You're not unhealthy because you're old. And
That's right.
and even if we look at age, like we're not old at 60. That's not old.
Right.
Like
That's right.
e-
It's all in the conditioning. Like but you think about it, we're conditioned to believe when you go to the doctor,
Mhm,
um, and you start going through perimenopause, it's normal to have joint pain. It's normal to have the hop. It's normal. All these things are normal. You're taught that all of that is normal.
mhm,
And so there's the condition again. The condition we're conditioned to believe as you get older, certain things are supposed to happen to you. So
mhm,
when they do, you're like, it's normal. And like you
mhm,
said, same with my mom. I'm literally on the phone. I said, Mommy, I got to call you out. I got to call you out because my mom is that person, like a little nibble, because she would tell me, look, child, a little bit of that ain't gonna hurt you. Taste this chicken. I'm like, Mom, not eat chicken. Child, a little bit of that ain't gonna hurt you. That was her thing with everything. A little, I say, no, I'm not going to do that. And that's how she is. And so, my mom, so you want to, her mothering is food.
yes.
You know what I mean? That's the way she feels like she's loving on you. And and like I said, you think back when I was little, that was her food soothes her as well.
Mhm,
Same thing. That's how she's used herself, her soothe herself for years through food. So now you're taking away, she's older than I am,
mhm,
habits. I say, Mom, it's hard. You think you're 75, 74, excuse me, 74, and you've had these habits for years. So it's not our expectation that you're gonna be perfect right away. I said, think about my age. I said, I've been doing this for years. So of course I'm not gonna be perfect. But you always have to be real and honest with yourself. I
right.
said, you cannot change what you don't want to acknowledge. And that's what I
Mhm,
told her. Because she'll
mhm,
say, well, I haven't been eating too much. I haven't been, I was like, no, 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 no. That's what you're telling yourself.
Right.
I said, that's not true. I said, when my thyroid started, when that man said I have Graves' disease, I said, well, what is Graves' disease? It's an autoimmune. Why is your immune system just doesn't decide I'm gonna attack her thyroid?
Mm-hmm.
No. But when you ask the doctor that, it just happens. Do I need to
Mm-hmm.
change anything? No. That's what they tell me. Even the doctor I have now, he even said it. I was like, oh, so I liked him because he was thoughtful and talking to me. I told him about the fast. You went 15 days without eating, all of those things. I told him I did all of that. And I said, by the way, should I not be having, oh, you eat what you want. Enjoy your life.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. So I like you, but okay. So you're
Keep 'em
not
at
there.
arm's length.
That's what I said. I said, but you're not there yet. So I'll leave that alone. But you can't, and I say that because in order to change and go on this journey, I had to be real with myself. My immune system was not attacking it just because my body was crying out for help because of all the trash that I was putting in my body. So I had to sit there, and I had to sit there with that. I said, I'm responsible for what's happening in my body right now.
Mm-hmm.
I had to say that. I said, you are responsible for why this is happening. You have been, and I think of when you say all the the medicines, look at IVF.
Mm-hmm.
I went through, I want to say at least 2 or 3 rounds of IVF with drugs, fertility drugs in my system. I think of all of the antibiotics throughout my life that I had to take. The surgeries when was on bed rest, they were just putting steroids in my body because they're trying to keep the baby alive, just drugging me, drugging me, drugging me. And I think of all that stuff when I learned what I learned, still in my system. What?
Yep.
I like all of that is still in me. And so that, like I said, once I was real, like, this is you, girl. You gotta take responsibility. You did all of this. And not responsibility, but also forgiveness. Because you didn't know.
Right.
I had to do that. I said, you didn't know you were doing that. And so then I told my mom, you can't change what you refuse to acknowledge. So I had to acknowledge my role. Now I'm empowered because now you can go change it. Yeah. If you want to walk in darkness like you don't know, you ain't changing nothing. So you're going to keep getting the same thing. So in order for me to get something different, I got to be willing to go down this journey I have no idea about, scared of water fasting. Then I start juice fasting. You hear fruit so bad for you. You finna ingest fruit juices, and some of what I read, that's no good for your thyroid to have just fruit juices. But you're gonna do a juice fast too?
Yeah.
And that's dangerous. So all these unknowns that I had to travel down in order to get to where I am today was scary. And I say that because people who are watching, you're going to have that fear because it's not the norm and it's not what you're used to. But people think fear is bad. The uncomfortable decisions that you're making is bad, but it's not. It's just you're out on a path that you're not used to and you're uncomfortable. We're gonna walk down that path anyways. So that's why that's where I am right now.
Yeah. Listen. Ooh, listen. So you have to take accountability. You have to be responsible for your own health and wellness. You cannot allow a doctor or your mom or your pastor or anybody else to make those choices for you because you're in your body. You got, and one thing you said, the doctors will tell you this is normal, right? So that's a very common phrase that you hear when it comes to health and wellness and disease. We understand it's normal, which is actually a true statement. But the double talk is it's not natural. So people don't understand normal and natural are two different things.
That's good.
It's normal because the populace experiences this typically. You're 40-something-year-old woman, perimenopausal, it's normal. Okay, but what is natural?
I love
See,
that.
so That's all I'm concerned with.
Yeah.
If you're not telling me this is natural, it's normal for the body to attack itself. Okay, but is it natural?
I love
You
that.
know?
Yeah.
And so now you are, and we're going to do this for the YouTube algorithm. Now you are reversing the symptoms associated with your autoimmune disorder.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be impossible.
Yep. And
Like, go
I
ahead.
was I was told that by someone that I decided to work with that wanted to switch over to holistic means as well. She told me, and I think the reason why that was difficult is because this particular person came from the medical, she was doing both.
Mm, mm,
So I said, I get it.
mm,
I get it. And this person told me that you have this that you can't reverse that. You're going to deal with that for the rest of your life. You're going to be on
mm,
these medications for the rest of your life. That's what she told me. And I was like, no. And so that was another why I said, in love, because an amazing person in love, I'm going to prove her wrong.
mm-hmm,
I'm going to prove her wrong. And I've seen countless cases in which people have reversed autoimmune with diet.
mm-hmm,
I've looked at it. I've researched it. Countless people reversing things with diet, reversing huge illnesses with their diet. So I know that it was possible. I know that it is possible.
mm. Well, this is your superpower. Your ability to research, be accountable, and and travel go down the path less traveled.
Yeah.
Right. That is a superpower that you're able to apply to different aspects of your life, and it and now you're fighting on the good team. So now it's like I want to make sure people know who you are, where you are, hear your story. So before we get off this call, I need to know like where can people find you? What services and products do you have available? Because I know you helping people some way. Like, tell us what you got going on.
Yes. You can find me on Instagram at I am Makita Harvey. You can find me here on YouTube at I am Makita Harvey. I am a weight loss and mindset coach. So what I do is I have a 4-week coaching program where I invite clients in and we tackle weight loss, we tackle fitness, but we most importantly tackle your mindset.
Mm,
Because in my opinion, it starts with the mind first. And when you can tackle your mindset and change your mindset, then everything else can fall into place. It's more habit-based coaching than anything. But I run 4-week challenges and I also run 14-day glow up challenges as well. So I'm in a, I don't know when this is going to air, but I do those monthly. It's called your 14-day glow up. And it's where you can get your feet wet. And Chris, I was scared to start offering this because again, you're coming from years of the traditional standard to
mm,
now my glow up challenges are those people who say, you know what, sometimes I kind of want to try to see what it's like not to have dairy or not to have meat or try this whole raw thing. It's for people to have someone there with them to try it. And like I said, this is a whole different ball game. So my mind plays tricks on me too. Like, should you be doing this? Or, now you know it. But I know this is what's resonating with me. This is what
mm,
I'm aligned with in changing this way. And you can't dismiss how good you feel. And so me feeling this good, you're like, you want to pass that along to other women that's struggling right now. And just it's an amazing feeling. So that's where I am right now. I'm more often found on Instagram. I do have a lot of YouTube videos that I'm dropping right now, but I just dropped my 14-day glow program of just getting your feet wet and coming to this side for a little bit and just seeing what it's like. Seeing what it's like. I've worked with clients more recently with this. I have a raw guide, a 10-day raw fruit and vegetable cleanse that I offer for people who just want, like I said, you want to try it out. You always need to be able, and I said this before, to try something different if you want something different.
mhm,
Because if you've been eating the traditional way that society says to eat and you still not seeing results, you got to be willing to say, okay, I need to try something different. And my clients who most recently I've worked with in this manner, they're like, Makita, I had no idea I can feel this good. No,
Mm.
no idea that I can feel this good. And that's an amazing feeling. I'm like, I told you, see, come
See, you're playing such a vital role. You actually fill in a puzzle piece because you came from one side of the spectrum, so you have a very unique perspective and experience, and you did it scared. And
on.
so now because of that experience, you have something unique to offer. And so keep pushing forward. I'm gonna tell you right now, like I'm here. If you need guidance, if you need
Thank you.
advice,
I
you know what
appreciate
I'm saying? Like we're connected already. So if
it. I love
hey, you
it.
got a question, I've actually been thinking recently about doing more like coaching,
Mhm.
with wellness professionionals. I've
Yes.
actually, yeah, I've been thinking about it. I'm not announcing that. I'm just
Yes.
saying it's on the tip of my brain right now.
Love
But
that.
because what you're doing is you are representing a group of people that maybe it's a little bit more niche,
Mhm.
but it's very needed. So
Absolutely.
I'll anytime there's an individual that represents more of a niche group, I want to
Mhm.
help support them because we say niche, but it's like literally millions of people though.
Yeah.
Like
No, I
it's
understand.
you know what I mean? So I very much so appreciate your time today.
Absolutely.
Um,
With it.
it's this has been so refreshing. I mean, I knew it was gonna be a good interview,
Thank
but
you.
I appreciate your honesty and how open you were with your fears and like your accountability. Oh, one thing I wanted to say, this is completely out of order, but I just wanted to say when it comes to menopause, I had Clayton from the Root Wellness brand. So we have some affiliate partners that we work
Okay.
with. The Root Wellness brands is one of my favorite. If it's not my favorite, I don't know if I should say that live. It's one of my favorite. You know, when you're a mom, you're not supposed to have a favorite child, right?
Yes.
But they came on the show, Clayton and Christina. They're the owners and the chief scientists, right?
Mhm.
And Clayton was saying that menopause is actually caused by heavy metals being ejected from the bones and from the
Um,
joints. So as you get older, all of the heavy metals that you've collected just through breathing, eating, living, touching, for whatever reason, women go through this period of time where the body starts to try to detox that.
wow.
And what happens is you get these cavitations in your bones. So now you see a lot of women dealing with like osteoporosis and they break hips and all this type of stuff. But the hormonal imbalance that happens when the heavy metals get released into the system, that's what causes the hot flashes and the attitude and the you know what I mean? The
Wow.
weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, I've never heard that and I never have considered that because I do know about heavy metals.
Yeah.
That's how I found Root. I
Yeah.
I found it looking for a way to clean heavy metals,
Yeah.
but that's just something I wanted to put it out there because we're having that conversation,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of women who are experiencing that are listening. You guys might want to consider obviously the diet and the lifestyle of fasting. That's number one. But as a supplemental tool, Root has a product called Restore that I
Okay.
have found to be absolutely phenomenal. I know
Okay.
you've probably heard me talk about it,
Yes.
but for menopause or perimenopausal women, I think Restore would be a great option just to help. So I just want to throw that out there.
Definitely. You know us, we'll do it. We'll do anything at this point.
Good
But I
job.
would love that. That's so interesting. And like
Yeah.
even just the heavy metals detoxes and
Mm.
the parasite cleanses and all, I was like, oh goodness. And I'm telling you, I used to be like, what are y'all talking about? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of fresh information coming in. I challenged myself to buy a whole bunch of books and start reading more books
Mhm.
because all my information up until this point has been personal experimentation and documenting other people's experience, which I
Yeah.
think is a really good way to approach it. But learning from other people who had different experiences is opening up my eyes. And I got a whole bunch of new information coming in that's helping me understand holistically the body. And so
Mhm.
we got a lot more coming. Stay tuned.
I love
But
it.
once again, I so graciously appreciate your time.
Me.
Thank you.
I loved it. I loved it. I
I'm
loved
glad you enjoyed
it.
yourself. For those listening, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button for me. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power. And I will see you all next time. Peace.